Throughout his career, Sir Cliff Richard has kept his relationships private bar one very high-profile romance. Music icon Sir Cliff Richard is still, as his 1963 hit song said, a bachelor boy having never married. However, the star, who turns 83 today, has had one high-profile relationship that continues to fascinate fans decades later. In the early 1980s he enjoyed a fling with tennis star Sue Barker, who would go on to host A Question of Sport and become a beloved Wimbledon commentator. A bona fide tennis champion, when they met, Sue picked up 15 WTA Tour singles titles and even won the 1976 French Open during her career on the court, while Cliff had been a superstar for 2 decades at this point. He was 41 to her 25, and Sue admitted in her book Calling the Shots, My Autobiography, that her parents were wary of their relationship due to the age gap. Accounts of how they met vary, but what is undisputed, and has been confirmed by both in their respective autobiographies, is that their first date was attending a Shadows concert together. Out of the blue, I called Sue up in London, to her surprise, and we arranged to go and see the Shadows at the Dominion Theatre a day or so later. We went with Bill Latham and a friend of Sue's, her fellow tennis player Sue Mappin, and then had dinner. Cliff wrote in his memoir The Dreamer, an autobiography which was published in 2020. Unfortunately, as a world-class tennis player, Sue had to fly out to Tokyo shortly after that, putting any fledgling romance on hold, although Cliff kept in touch. When we arrived at the hotel in Tokyo, there was a telegram from Cliff, wishing me all the best in my matches and hoping to see me again. So I knew he was keen, Sue wrote in her book. She explained that they chatted on the phone during that period, mainly about tennis. But their second meeting didn't occur until 6 months later at an exhibition match Sue was due to play in Denmark. Shortly after this they appeared together at Wimbledon, sparking a media frenzy even though they had barely spent any time together since their first meeting. By the summer of 1982 Sue was sitting out the US Open due to injury when she got a call from one of Cliff's friends saying that he wanted to cool it. Seemingly, though he later reached out saying that he missed her, and the pair went out to dinner. Although they were reconciled for a brief period, Sue said in her autobiography that she realized they were never going to be more than friends. They would continue to be linked together for another year, but their meetings were less and less frequent. Sue then went on to marry her husband, police detective Lance Tankard. In 1988, which led to a feud with Cliff, who continued to dissect their romance in interviews. He even went as far as to say that he hadn't loved her enough to propose. Understandably annoyed that he was rehashing a fling that went nowhere, she said it was silly that he was still even discussing it. She also stated that in hindsight, she wouldn't have gone near the chart-topping singer if she'd known it would still be a talking point 4 decades on.